Hey guys, Turtles here, creator of Salt, a build order trainer and practice tool for StarCraft 2. I've expanded ways in which authors of strategy guides and build orders such as yourself can integrate Salt into their build order guide, bridging the gap between reading a guide online and actually getting them into the game and putting it into practice. Linking your guide with Salt is an easy process, and I wrote a quick guide which I'll link in the description of this video. This is meant as an accompaniment to the guide, so if I didn't really explain something clearly enough, you can watch me do it in first person and just follow along. I'm going to be recording this video in multiple parts, just following through the textual guide that I wrote. Sorry in advance if I'm not very good at speaking. I'm not very good at recording video, and I'm not even sure if I'll have the know-how to remove all the static and adjust the sound volumes and stuff like that. But hopefully you can put up with that. Okay, so making an interactive build using Salt. First step, getting the details for your build order. The build order that we're going to be experimenting with is this Charge Lot Immortal build by MGG Reinhardt, making PvEZ easy again. Cool. Okay. First thing we need to do is find, well, the easiest way to do this would be to look at replays, and he's got a whole bunch of them here. Then upload them to Spawning Tool, which so thankfully we don't have to because he's already done that for us, so we can have a look in here. And that's the build order. So how do we get this into Salt is basically the task at hand. I've made a tool in Google Spreadsheets to make this easier. So, and I'm going to share this with everyone, but not let them edit it, so they can see this. And if they want to make their own, just go File, Make a Copy, Name. What did I say it was? Charge Lot Immortal. Okay. And I'm just going to fill out some of these details. I won't record the whole thing, just the start. So, what do we call this build order? Author was, how do they capitalize this? M capital G. Was that it? Got it in one. Where is it? Description. I think that was a pretty good byline. Is this actually working? Yep. So as you can see, this down here is the final text that we need to copy and paste into Salt. And as we edit the things in the table, it'll show up down here. So that's going to be deleting all of this so we can start from scratch. Go with make workers at 12, I'll leave that bit. So what's the build order? 1421 pylon. Okay. Supply. You don't actually have to have minutes and seconds or even supply. You can leave this. This is all optional. These are 3 columns. So these ones actually. What did I say? What time? Pylon 21. Asset is what we're actually building. There's a list of available assets down here, so you should be able to see they're all in alphabetical order. LMNOP pylon. Pylon, there you go. Yep, and it turns green, just to make sure you know that that's an available thing. Say if I was to do something that's not available. What's not available? What were those walking things called? I don't know, whatever. See? Not available. Vultures, that's that's another thing. Vultures. No vultures in SE2. So when this shows up on when the user is playing it, they'll see descriptions. So description brief. Won't put anything there. Description longer. I'll put build at wall. And you can see down here, this is following through. Yep. Build at wall. Good. Okay, so this is basically encoding the build order that you're writing in the table down into a string so that you can copy paste that into the map. I'll just do one more. Gateway 15. I think if you look at the description, early game, scout, so build that with the scouting one. So use scouting probe. Okay, I think you get the idea here. Later on I'll show you how to get the locations. For now I'll just fill out the rest of the build order and cut the video here. As you can see, I've finished filling out the build order. I've left a lot of details blank. For instance, we got Stargate. We've set some benchmarks of 40 supply, 319 for the Stargate. But as for the first Phoenix, I left that blank because it doesn't matter. Basically, once the Stargate is complete, then the Phoenix should be built. So there's no point in giving it its own time. Once the Stargate becomes available, the player will be notified to build a Phoenix. So now what I'm going to work on is getting the locations. So I'll open the StarCraft 2 map editor. I just realized how laggy recording the map editor is going to be, both on sound and visual. So I'm going to have to try and talk very slowly and do things very slowly, and hopefully Fraps will be able to record it. So this is the SC2 editor, open on Orbital Shipyard. Go in, if you want to open a map, go File, Open, click on the BattleNet tab, and select whatever map you want. Under Source, look for Blizzard if you want Blizzard maps. So to figure out where the building positions are, up the top you'll find a units palette, and on the left type in pylon, select pylon, and place this on the map. Press spacebar to deselect things, and if you want to select this pylon, you can drag select it, press enter, and it will come up with the details of the pylon, including its position, 5546. Back on the Google spreadsheet, enter that in, 5546. And then next we look for the location of the gateway. Back in the map editor, we're looking for gateway. So I select that, find where to place it on the map. Select the gateway that I placed, press enter. And it'll come up with this, which is the properties for the gateway. So X position 57.5, Y42.5. Skipping ahead a little, you can see that I've filled out the locations for some of the buildings. I left out a lot of details, but you can decide how many buildings you want to put locations for. Okay, now we're done with Google Sheets. This down here is the build order string that we need. So we need to copy paste that, so hit Control C. I'm going to take that string that I saved from the Google Sheets and just put it into Notepad, using Control V to paste it in. And then save it and store it for later. Now we need to set up the player properties. In the palette at the top, click on the Points palette and select Start Location 1. As you can see on the map, there's a green circle around this start location. So that tells us where that one is. So that's the one we're interested in, so remember Start Location 1. Go into Map, Player Properties, and fill out these details here. So for Player 1, we're setting the race to the race of the build order, Protoss. Control as user. Start Location 1. For Player 2, we set race to Zerg. Set control to computer. Start Location 2. Now we need to set up the triggers. At the top of the screen you'll see a bunch of blue icons. The second one says triggers, so click on that. And then click on the little highlighted thing that says melee initialization. These are the triggers that run at the start of every map. Okay. So right click on in the main window, or just press Ctrl R to create a new trigger, and it will come up with this box, which is the list of all available triggers. I don't see it in the left here. Oh wait, no. On the left, you'll see one of the options is data table. So I'm going to select that. And here are all the triggers that are involved in data tables. So we're looking for save data table value string. Okay, I've found it here. So I click on OK. And then there are a few fields I have to fill in. So as for save value, so click on value. And this will be the string that you copied and pasted from the Google spreadsheet. So you can hit Control V. And then press OK. And then under name, click on name, and then put TL guide, TL in caps, space GUIDE. OK. And leave the rest of it, so that we can get a link to the map that's only available on the arcade. So we have to make this an arcade map. Go into map options. On the options tab down here it says arcade map. Let's click on that. And then we'll need a logo for the map as well if we do that. So map, BattleNet info, and then just click on browse. For this one I've selected the ZVP icon.
Alright, now this has to be the last step, just adding the dependencies. Go File,
Dependencies, Add other. Click on the BattleNet tab. You have to be logged in for this to work. Click source mod map/mod name. Type in salt. Click on always use latest version. Select salt. There's probably be a bunch of options, just the one that says salt. Okay. And then click OK again. That has to be the last step you do, otherwise you'll get errors later on. Okay, make sure to save your work. Now that we've sorted out the dependencies, I'm just going to test it to make sure it works. You can go into File, Test Document. And this should open up the game in StarCraft 2. Okay, I'm just testing this out for the first time, so hopefully if we did everything right, we should be placed here. Put this on pause. We should be placed here, and just ignore any of these. You can just warning messages and error messages. Just get rid of those there. The top left, that's the build order, and our screen is down here where there's our Nexus. You see the 12 supply, so it's obviously loaded the Legacy of the Void dependencies correctly. If you're not seeing this, maybe say the Nexus isn't up, then that would indicate that you didn't correctly set the location when setting the player properties. So I'm just going to play through this. I've never done this before, so hopefully I can follow the build order and hopefully...
Resume worker production.
Okay, I'm going to resume worker production.
Warp in a pylon.
Oh good, the location is correct on that. You can see down here it says build at wall.
Scout your opponent. Warp in a gateway.
You have not enough minerals.
Okay, what would have been good is for the scout, I could have put the location of the other enemy's base, and then it would ping the enemy's base and tell me where to scout. That's just something I could have done a bit better while making the build order.
Warp in an assimilator. Warp in a nexus.
You have not enough minerals.
So you can see there, I actually forgot to send workers into gas. You could have had that as another instruction in the build order, just to make sure that the player knows to do that, depending on how noob you're targeting your audience.
Warp in a cybernetics core.
You have not enough minerals.
Warp in an assimilator.
You have not enough minerals. You have not enough minerals.
So it's telling me I didn't have enough minerals, but I had about like 60 or something like that, which is enough for it to trigger to warn me of the upcoming step, even though I didn't quite have enough.
Warp in a pylon.
Okay, I didn't actually include the location for a pylon for this one. You can if you want.
You must construct additional.
Built the adept early. Wargate research.
Warp in a mothership core. Transfer your workers.
The firstborn shall persevere. Give us your command.
Another adept. Currently don't have
Justice has come.
the sound files for adepts yet. Working on that.
Najakar Nina. Glory to the Daylom.
Warp in a sentry. Warp in a gateway.
Anyway,
Warp in a
the
gateway.
point of this isn't to actually play through the build order. I'm just demonstrating how it works and how it looks once you've imported the build order in there. Now that we've tested to make sure that it works, all that's left is to stick it up onto Battle.net. So go File, Publish, select your region, and change name. We'll call it Immortal Zealot Guide. Release public. Click on Unlocked. Next. Okay, once that's finally finished, should see a little dark blue. That means that's the file you're uploading, and that's how much space is available on your account. Click OK. Continue with publishing, yes. For some reason there was actually a failed attempt up here, that's why you can see that. But I don't know why it failed. I'm trying it again. My internet's pretty shitty, so maybe that's why. Cool, worked that time. I don't know, maybe my internet crapped out or something. Okay, so that's online now. Should be able to go into File, Managed Published, and find it here somewhere. Immortal Zealot Guide, there you go. Okay, now that our map's up on Battle.net, we can go into Arcade, click on Browse and select My Published. Should show up here. That's the one we're after. If you right click that can get a link for it. Copy link. Now that URL we got should work in most places, but for instance on Team Liquid they don't allow URLs that aren't web addresses, so I'm just going to use tinyURL, copy it into there, make it tiny. So this is the new URL that we can also use. So I'm going to stick that into a post on Team Liquid. Now that we've got those links, I'm just going to copy and paste the build order, just to give an example. This is all the same stuff as before, I just edited it a little bit. And down here, stuck another little section for in-game guide, brief description, and a few links that the players can follow through on. So they click the link. There you go. Right from the online build order guide straight into the game. Well, after it loads. And then they click start game. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. Sorry it was so slow. Just felt I really needed to go through everything in just painstaking detail, just in case there's like this one step that someone didn't get. So it's actually a much faster process doing it yourself. You'll be able to decide what instructions and how much detail you want to include in your interactive build order guide. Okay, I look forward to seeing some excellent interactive game guides that the community can come up with. If you're making an interactive build and have any trouble with any of the steps, let me know and I'll gladly help you through it over PM, either on Reddit or Team Liquid or however you can get hold of me. Okay, thanks everyone.